In any update since they were added, villagers are always one of the coolest and most important things in the game. If you know how to use these things, you can hook yourself up with not only infinite emeralds, but some pretty cool loot too. But to be able to use these things, you have to have them. And to have them, well, that's where I come in. How you doing, everybody? It's me, Waddles. Today, just like we did for bamboo a little while ago, we'll be taking a look at 3 different villager breeders. I'm going to show you how to build the world's easiest villager breeder, a villager breeder that is still pretty easy to build, and even a fully automatic one too. Right in front of us over here, we've got 3 chests. We've got easy, we got medium, and then all the way over there, we've got hard. Of course, there's only one spot we can begin though, and that's with the world's easiest villager breeder. So easy, in fact, that there's like almost no building that you need to do. You're going to need to have 3 beds, 3 optional boats, and either 6 bread, 24 carrots, or 24 potatoes. Or I guess beets. I guess you could have beetroot too. That could work. Look, I'm gonna be honest though, if you only have beets, maybe you should worry about some other farms first. Our first and easiest villager breeder of the day takes advantage of the game's basic mechanics when it comes to villager breeding. For villagers to breed, there are essentially like 3 conditions. Our first condition here is gonna be at least 2 villagers. For every farm today, we'll need at least 2 to get started. Next up, we're gonna need to consider beds. There needs to be enough beds for the 2 parents and the brand new baby. So 3. And then finally, our most controlled variable, food. Of course, if we want the grown-ups to make the baby, they need to be full. Now, of course, to actually get your hands on the villagers for any of these villager breeders today, there are a couple different ways, but probably the easiest way is taking them, borrowing them from your local village. Somehow find them, trap them, and relocate them to wherever you want to set this villager breeder up. An amazing way to lure villagers around is workstations. A villager's favorite thing to do other than make more villagers is definitely go to work. For this one, we head over to our local village and either steal 2 of the workstations here or bring 2 of our own. Composters are 2 of the cheapest workstations around. To craft these things, all you need are literally slabs. But technically, they don't need to work to make kits. For breeder number 1, find 2 villagers in your world and isolate them somehow, maybe with like workstations or something. After that, place 3 beds down on the ground and then go ahead and give them some food. Technically speaking, if we're going with carrots here, all we need are 24 carrots. We throw our food at the villagers, and then hopefully if they're alone, they should notice each other and start sharing the food. We go ahead and give them a little bit of alone time, and eventually they'll notice each other and the hearts will pop up. Once the villagers breed, run quickly back over to them and drop a boat on the ground. Do your best to trap that newfound baby villager inside of the boat, and then you can take it wherever you need. A situation like this is where the 3 boats come in. If your villagers unfortunately all jump into the same boat, just keep trying and trying until you have 1 seat open in the boat. Naturally, the baby villagers will try and walk over to the beds. Or wander off into the forest alone. You never know. The world's easiest villager breeder is simply find new villagers, give them a little bit of food and a little bit of beds. Don't even build anything. But that's it's a little bit dangerous. With all those mechanics set, done, and dusted, and our super easy farm fully finished up, let's talk about the medium farm. To build the medium farm, we'll need a little bit more supplies. Still, we're gonna need 3 beds, maybe a boat to capture that baby villager, and some slabs, actually. 12 of them. Now, you might want to have some extra building blocks here. Build a ceiling on it, build a wall, whatever you want to do. But at minimum, this stuff right here, plus the food, plus the villagers. Now, if you've never seen this villager breeder before, prepare to be amazed because this is so simple. We're going to start by building 2 temporary blocks up into the air. Then we're going to place a slab, and another slab. We're going to go ahead and move around and do the same thing. 3 slabs like that on this block right here. You should be able to sneak under them, but with this height, the villagers won't be able to go anywhere. Then we can go ahead and get rid of these temporary blocks and move over to the other side of the structure. We're going to do it all again. 3 more slabs like that, temporary block, and then 3 more slabs. We've now created a ring of floating blocks. Moving to the inside of this ring, along one side here, we're going to need 3 beds. We're going to do a bed right there, we're going to do a bed right there, and then we're going to do a bed right there. Make sure these beds are fully inside of this ring of slabs. Very important here. After that, it's villager time. One of the easiest ways to get the villagers over here is hands down going to be boats. Go to your local village, get them in a boat, and then jump in the boat too. With the villager in your boat, sail into the middle of the slabs, and then turn until the villager is fully inside of this thing. After that, jump out of the boat, with an axe, turn around, carefully hit the boat, and just like that, you trapped your first villager. Now all we need to do is do it all again, and find a second villager, grab it, and sail it back over. Drive the boat, turn the boat, back it up against the bed, then go ahead and break the boat. Now we have 2 villagers inside of the breeder. Now to actually get this thing to run, all you need to do is walk over to it and throw 24 potatoes or 24 carrots or 6 bread inside of the thing. Then go ahead and give the villagers a little bit of space. With nothing to do over here other than make babies, eventually they should share the food with each other and hopefully make the baby. Now sometimes, unfortunately, this whole villager food sharing situation, it could take a little bit of time. With all these conditions met, if nothing seems to be happening, what you could try and do is grab a little bit more food and throw it over to the villagers. Naturally, the villagers should share food, but sometimes they don't exactly share, or they throw it outside of this breeder. This breeder is one of those breeders that you set up and you wait by until it works. Alright, so I see hearts going on. This is perfect. We're almost done here. The villagers are looking at each other romantically with 3 beds. We should be pretty much good, and sooner or later, one of the babies should pop out. Yeah, just like that. Now to get the baby out of this thing, place a boat on the outside of this thing, move to the inside, and push the baby villager over to the boat. If your baby villager starts running away, even better. All you really have to do is place a boat in between the baby and the parents. Naturally, this baby villager shouldn't go too far. Because we're using boats to move the villagers around and take them away, if one of the grown-up villagers gets into the boat, it's no big deal. It's so easy to put them back in. To get the villagers to breed again, go ahead and give them more food and move the baby far enough away that it's not linked to that middle bed. Then you're good to go. Now, a couple extra things that you could add onto this farm to make it even safer. Maybe some walls. If you wanted to, you could do like fences or full-out solid walls, but probably definitely a ceiling. If you're setting this thing up in your world and you're gonna just like, exist in your world, eventually lightning will happen. If a villager is struck with lightning, it turns to a witch, and then it's done so. It'll take out the other one. To avoid any problems, consider setting this breeder up inside of a building somewhere or in a really, really safe spot. Let's move on. Villager breeder number 3. This one is a little bit more advanced, but clearly, as you can see here, it's still relatively simple. This is the fully automatic, beautiful beauty itself. To build our dream villager breeder, 2 villagers, a little bit of food to get us started, and then these materials right here. 3 beds, a little bit of dirt, a composter, some slabs, and trap doors. The glass right here represents solid building blocks. You'll need some of those too. In your world somewhere, pick a spot and build like 3 or so blocks up off of the ground. If you wanted to, you're an overachiever, you can totally build higher up. After that, go ahead and get rid of those temporary blocks. We're gonna start this farm with a slab. The slab is gonna be the center of this farm. On that slab, we need to waterlog this thing. So go ahead and do that, and then place a composter right on top of it. On top of the composter, place 1 more slab, and then we're done. After that, we need to build out with dirt. We're gonna go ahead and go 3 blocks out in every single direction, and then fully fill this thing in. To make this thing automatic, we're gonna go ahead and let the villagers do all of the work themselves. A little bit of blood, sweat, and tears later, and just like that, we have this wonderful floating platform. Kind of ugly. Maybe you come up with a better design to encase it in. But for now, we're only worried about the aesthetics. On one of the sides, we're gonna pick a side in the middle and place a trap door. Then we're gonna go ahead and go temporary block, and then 1 more temporary block right there. Remove that one, and place another trapdoor. We've got a trapdoor. We have kind of 2 blocks of space and a trapdoor right there. Go ahead and remove that temporary block and open this trapdoor. Next up, it's time for walls on this thing. Now these walls, you could build these walls out of any block that you have in the entire world. It doesn't matter at all, but maybe don't use flammable blocks just to avoid any sad tragedies. When you set these walls up on this enclosure, they need to be at least 2 blocks tall, but you could totally go higher, and if you wanted to make things even more safe, you could put a ceiling on this thing as well. Before you put a ceiling on this thing though, it might be a good idea to get a couple of villagers inside of this thing. Now to move the villagers inside of this thing, this time, because it's up in the air, workstations all the way. If you were to transport a villager close enough to this thing, with a composter inside of it, build a staircase going up to this thing, the villagers should happily walk inside and jump down. That's villager number 1. To make it easier to get villager number 2 inside of this thing, add some kind of temporary workstation inside of it. The workstation doesn't matter. Bring a villager over close to it, give it time, and it should walk right inside and take the job. Once the villager is solidly and safely inside of this thing, we go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need it anymore. And then the staircase, you can go ahead and pull that out too. Go back to the side of the villager breeder that you set up with a trap door. Place a block coming off of that, and then another one, and another one. Then go ahead and double up. Go on both sides and do the same thing. Now for villagers to breed, we need 2 of them, we need food, and we need beds. They need to be able to think they can get to the beds, but they don't need to physically be able to get to the beds. The trapdoor that we place at the top of this thing is acting as a little, like a trick block. The villagers don't really see it as fully solid, and they think they can get all the way over to the beds, but they can't. Last but not least, for building, down below this thing, like directly below where the trapdoor is open, you're going to want to set up some kind of funnel, a chute, a hallway, whatever you want to call it. If you're fancy here, you could totally throw a water current and maybe like use water elevators, current streams to move the baby villagers away. But no matter what, you need to move the baby villagers away from this thing so they unlink from the beds after they're born. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to set up this bottom part because it is totally your call. I do personally think that using water streams to move the villagers far enough away is probably the most efficient and easy way, but you can do like mine carts or maybe even workstations or something too. Basically, the final thing you need to do to get this farm up and running in your world forever, as long as it's loaded, is till all of this farmland and then plant crops all over this thing. With this farm fully planted in, you got two options. You go ahead and give it a little bit of time, and eventually the food grows up, the farmer will harvest the food, and then eventually start sharing the food. Or you go ahead and expedite this process a little bit by dropping some extra food in yourself. This one is beautiful. Personally, it's my favorite out of the three we talked about today. Because this thing has food inside of it and a farmer villager, it is entirely self-sustaining. As long as you're moving your baby villagers far enough away from this thing to unlink from the beds, it will literally keep running until it crashes your world. Baby villagers have this whole natural instinct to try and jump on beds, so eventually he's going to try and cross that gap and unfortunately fall down below. Look, I get it. It's kind of not very ethical at all, but I mean... 3 must-know villager breeders from Minecraft 1.20 and up. There you go. If you enjoyed this video, do me a huge favor and smash like, subscribe for more just like it. If you got a specific resource you'd like to see a video like this on, let me know down below in the comments. And finally, check out this one next. Of course, Minecraft 1.20 out of that beautiful bamboo wood, and these farms will get you set for life. Thanks for watching. This is me, Waddles. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.